Okay.
Monday Evening Football Daily Show. We're back, baby, and we're humping. We're humping because it's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. We are very excited. We're very excited. We got a lot of sports news to cover today. Maybe not a ton, but we got some interesting topics that we're going to talk about, go through, give you the ins and outs, let you know how to set your fantasy lineup this early in the season. Who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? All that good stuff. Nick, are you excited?
Pumped.
Nice. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Guys, we're happy to be back. A couple of housekeeping things that we do have to touch on real quick. Hey, we do a newsletter. It's great. It's packed full of information. Feel free with that on Substack. You can find that in the link in the description below. Also, feel free to like and subscribe. I think we don't mention that enough, but we do need to plug ourselves from time to time. And I think if you liked and subscribed, that is actually the best ways to help out this channel and help us grow. Because that's what we want to do after all. We want to grow. We don't want to take steps back. We want to grow as like a great football organization type of thing. So, that being said, Nick, our guy, Timmy,
Oh,
happening with Timothy
the
over
man
there
himself,
in Jacksonville. I mean, as you guys know, we're very high guys on Tim Tebow. So,
the
um,
highest.
but I did see that they're trying Urban Meyer maybe planning to use him in a Taysom Hill role type of thing, which I think we kind of expected that a little bit early on, that he would probably, get some touches, throwing the ball, different things like that. You bring him in as a tight end because for him, that's probably the position he can adjust to the quickest. But you do have a lot of unique attributes with Tim Tebow that makes him a versatile guy like Taysom Hill. Now, do I think Tim Tebow is better than Taysom Hill? Absolutely, 100%. Not very high on Taysom Hill. He's a utility guy. I don't know if that experience is ever going to work out, but we'll see. The way they use him in that Saints offense, it helps the Saints offense. But I think there's a lot of people around the league that are a lot higher on Taysom Hill than I am. But also, I don't know him personally. Maybe if I got to know him personally, we went out to lunch, chatted a little bit, maybe my feelings would change. This is just from afar feelings. So, but Tim Tebow, I'm excited for it, Nick. What are you expecting hearing this little development, come Tim Tebow time?
Oh man, I am expecting an absolute circus. I think the fact that Urban Meyer is going out of his way to be like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna let you know. Here's a fella who hasn't played NFL football in like 7 years. And not only are we going to play him at tight end, we're going to put him everywhere on offense. He might be throwing the ball. He might be catching the ball. He might be rushing the ball. We might put him on the left side, the right side. We might throw him in the backfield. He might be a decoy. Sometimes we might just throw him out there to mess with the other team. Like we don't know. He's just going to be everywhere all the time. And I think that's a fascinating thing to be putting out into the world, especially about a player who has not played NFL football in, like I said, about 7 years. So I think the circus is definitely in town in Jacksonville. Now, I'm not saying this isn't going to be fantastic to watch. I am I am incredibly excited to see this, but I do think it is a little bit interesting that the Jacksonville Jaguars have seemed to lean so much on the Tebow situation so early on. I mean, it is kind of unfortunate that the number one pick in the NFL draft is on their team, and we spend more time talking about Tim Tebow, and not by our choice, because that is literally what is covered all the time. And the reason it's covered all the time is because that's all their head coach is talking about is Tim Tebow. Now, I do think it plays into your thought of the media like circus that Urban Meyer might be trying to create. If you saw the other
Yep.
day, Urban Meyer had, I believe, WWE in his office doing a little like promo for
Yep.
that. And so Urban Meyer seems to be trying to make a splash in Jacksonville with the media, especially. But putting Tim Tebow out there as your focus every day in the media is a little odd to me when you have the number one pick. Now, could that? My question to you is, could this be happening on purpose because he knows that Tebow not only brings the media attention, but he can also handle that media attention at this point, and he's actually trying to take some of that pressure off of Trevor Lawrence? Could this be a little he's playing chess, we're playing checkers situation from Urban Meyer?
Yeah, absolutely. And that as you were saying that, the thought clicked into my head of like, it really is a smart strategy to have someone else be the distraction in a way. Like Tim Tebow, obviously, when he's there, and I'm sure you can ask anyone on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they'll be like, yeah, no, Tim Tebow, he's not a distraction. He comes in, he works hard. But it does take a lot of focus off of Trevor Lawrence, whether he's going to be great, live up to the hype, that type of stuff. And it definitely does seem like a chess, not checkers move because like Tim Tebow, like I know you say he hadn't been in football, but he has been throwing. Now, given it's a baseball,
Right?
but
It's
so
similar
the arm movement
mechanics.
is still there. The arm movement is still there. Similar. I mean, you got to tweak a couple things, and like he's not going to be throwing on every down. So on those tight end around Hail Marys that they're going to be putting in. So if you play the Jacksonville Jaguars, make sure you're watching out for that. You're going to see the tight end pull. You think it's going to be a run, but no, he's pulling to get the handoff behind, and then he's going to fucking bomb that shit. And it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm all for him playing in a Taysom Hill type role. I think that only makes the Jacksonville Jaguars more electric, a little tougher to plan for, and it definitely seems like what Urban Meyers is doing down there is definitely playing chess and not backgammon. So he's very strategic down there. He's killing it. I like what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing, and they are quickly becoming my favorite AFC team for this upcoming
Excellent.
season.
Excellent. I love it. I think they have all of the media attention they need to just absolutely, like, if they could win a couple games early, just absolutely take the league over. Now here's my question to you. Over under, how many trick plays do they run week one?
Week one. Hmm. Um, the over under, I would set that line at 1.5,
Yeah, I think
and
that's a
I
good.
would I would take the under.
I think that's interesting. Oh, the under. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I know we don't like to normally bet the unders, but I also don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars are just gonna, you know, come in week one and show you all the trick plays that they have up. But I'm sure like throughout this, if you put the season over under trick plays, I would put that over under at probably like 10.
Yeah, see, if you're looking in the playbook, that chapter is pretty thick, is what you're saying. The trick play portion of the playbook is
Yeah,
probably pretty dense compared to most
and,
other
and
teams.
and it's probably pretty dense when it's probably a couple pages just in the Tim Tebow section,
Yeah, that's true.
But then you start looking at some of the other guys on the team, you know, and there's some possibilities for different trick plays that maybe Tim Tebow's a part of, but not the focal point. So I put that over under at 10, and I will hammer that over for
Oh,
trick
okay.
plays. The Jacksonville
I like that.
Jaguars
I like that.
for sure. But speaking about tight ends, I don't know if you happen to see the Bengals tight end doing a
Oh
little
yeah,
interview,
this guy.
and I'm gonna be honest. When you're talking about teammates, this is the guy I want on my team
Yes.
because when you talk, this guy can see the vision. He was talking. Who do you know who it was by chance? I
Uh,
had the article in
yeah, it was like I
Zuma
think it was
or
a
something.
yeah, and he was like at a yeah, he was like at a press conference. I think just after practice, like after OTAs, kind of
Yeah,
deal.
and he was talking about like how he has this vision of Joey Burrows just drunk as shit, celebrating the Super Bowl title, like J.R. Smith style, no shirt on,
Okay.
just, and he went into incredibly descriptive detail
Oh,
of how this all played. He's like, it doesn't matter where we're at, I'm just gonna be feeding Joe Burrow drinks, and he's like, oh yeah, I play for the Bengals too, but like this dude, he wasn't even thinking about himself. He was just thinking about his quarterback being like, "Oh, Joe Burrow's my guy. He's a cool ass dude. I want to see this dude win a Super Bowl. And when he does win a Super Bowl, I'm just gonna be serving him drinks, not thinking like when he does win a Super Bowl, I will also win a Super Bowl because I'm on his team. Like
yep.
that level of selflessness to me, and maybe it's not selflessness. Maybe he was just being goofy. But like to me, it came off as authentic when he was talking, and that's a type of guy that I want on my team. And Joe Burrow, he's going to see it. That only strengthens the bond between the tight end quarterback position there, especially, when you do have a guy that seemingly being authentic in those type of remarks. I think that's a good thing for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, I mean, at the end of the day, what does it show us? It shows us that for whatever people want to say, Joe Burrow, even though he was hurt last year, has obviously made an impression on some of his teammates. They obviously see
Yeah.
him as, he was touted coming out of the draft as a leader, as a guy that the guys on his team love to play with. And when you've got a tight end out here and he's talking this way about Joe Burrow, and you have someone in your receiving core essentially speaking that highly about your quarterback, Scott, it only makes me think of one thing. And honestly, that's the man right here, the namesake of 81 Vino. It's T.O.
Oh,
Because the
Theo.
reality is, because the reality is, this is a guy that loved his quarterback. This is a guy that was always looking out for the people that were his teammates. And to be quite honest, you know, this is the same type of energy right here that you want to see from a young man. He's looking at Joe Burrow and he's saying, "That's my guy. My future in my eyes, involves myself and Joe Burrow, and in some sort of the drunk leading the drunk situation through
Hey,
some
hey.
sort of a nightclub after we've hoisted the trophy. But he's got the same sort of belief in his quarterback. It feels like that this man right here that we have on screen there, To, had in his quarterback back in the day. And you know what? At the end of the day, I look forward to watching the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Maybe drinking some 81 Vino while I do it. And if you
Hey,
guys are interested in trying some of that 81 Vino yourselves, ours is on the way. Ours is on the way. We're gonna
it's
be
coming.
trying it here in a couple days, I believe. We're gonna be trying it. So go ahead, get your orders in now. 81 Vino. I mean, come on. You guys are drinking wine anyway, or you're not. It doesn't really matter. The reality of the situation is, when are you gonna have an opportunity to buy Terrell Owens wine? This is a no-brainer. This is the most obvious purchase that I think we've made in a while.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, support a guy who used to support his quarterback.
Yep. And I will say this, Nick. You saw how hard he worked on the field, Terrell Owens. You got to imagine he's only taking that energy of hard work and determination and grit and showmanship to the vineyard, bro. He's getting the grapes. He's touched. He's getting his. He's not getting his popcorn ready anymore. He's getting his grapes ready. He's getting his barrels ready to bring a fantastic vino to you. So, guys, definitely check that out. And just if you order a bottle, just make sure you put in the notes. The guys over at Monday Evening Football sent me.
There you go. It's just that easy. Look at that.
Yeah,
Tio
beautiful thing.
Tio's making
So,
one. I heard Eddie Lacy and BJ Raji opened I believe like a gentleman's club, but I think it's like a buffet or something like that. I think I heard that recently. I got to look more into that, but
an all you
you
can eat
always
buffet.
you always like to see something along those lines. You always like to
Okay.
see these former players getting out into the business world. You see more and more of those
Mhm.
stories, and Tio taking a
Yeah,
crack at it, and we are huge supporters. So check that
for
out, guys.
sure. I mean, an elite wide receiver for sure. And switching gears to another elite wide receiver, it's interesting to see what the Buffalo Bills are doing, Nicholas, with Stefon Diggs, because they just restructured his contract. And so I'm a little curious to see what they're doing. Are they making a push for Zach Ertz from the Philadelphia Eagles? Are they trying to sign some people that they drafted? But what I saw was Stefon Diggs, his $12 million base salary is down to like 999,000 base salary for 2021, which is opens up 11 million cap space for the Buffalo Bills to really go and make some moves. So my question to you, Nicholas,
Uh-huh.
is what do you see the Buffalo Bills doing with that money?
Yeah, I think using that strategy that a lot of these teams use, where they'll convert some of the salary into a signing bonus to get it off the cap. The player still makes the same amount of money. They get it up front, so they're happy as hell, but the team is alleviated there. I think the teams only are using that to free up cap space to use immediately. That seems to be the obvious scenario. So I don't see any other scenario playing out here where the Bills are not actively trying to make a move here to get somebody. Now it'll probably come through a trade, right? Obviously, I don't think it's going to be like some free agent signing or anything. So, they'll probably move a few pieces and then try to make something happen, because $11 million is a decent amount of money, but I did read that they still need to sign two of their draft picks. So you
For
got to
sure.
think you got to think that they're going to have to move a player or two as well. But if the Buffalo Bills are able to maybe move a player and a pick and go get someone like Julio Jones, or maybe go get
Yeah.
someone like Zach Ertz. That definitely changes the dynamic, and I think that they are also very aware that the New England Patriots are trying to do very similar things. And
Yeah.
so with a team in your division like that, I think you have to kind of move as they move, right? If the Patriots seem
Yeah.
like they're positioning for something, The Bills want to make sure that they're right behind them and they're able to make a move if the Patriots make a move and try to keep that balance in that division. So I think they're obviously going to make a move. I think Zach Ertz and Julio Jones are obviously the top two targets you would imagine. And I'll be honest, from the fans' perspective, you and I are familiar with Bills fans more than most fan bases in the country, to be
Yep.
honest. And the Bills fans, that's what they're going to want. At the end of the day, they're going to want Ertz or Julio Jones. They don't want you moving this money around and messing with things if you're not going to go get a big name guy like that. So I would look at both those spots. I think Ertz probably makes a little more sense. But can you imagine
Yeah.
Julio Jones and Stefon Diggs with a Josh Allen
Oh,
arm throwing to
easily.
them? Just go long.
Yeah.
Just run 80 yards that way, and
It's
we'll find it.
it's a Hail Mary every
Every
time, and Stephon Diggs and Julio Jones, you two just go up and get it.
I mean,
Like that's what it.
Josh Allen might
So
set a record for every. I mean, he might set every record if that was his
yeah,
receiving core. It's very possible.
and here's the only other scenario I could see with what they would do with that money is sign a guy like Josh Allen to a contract extension,
Mm,
really lock him in long term.
yeah.
Is it another idea that I think Bills fans would be extremely excited about because, like you said, they are at the top of their division right now. So getting a guy like Ertz and Julio Jones does definitely help them reach that pinnacle that is the Super Bowl right now. But I think when you see what the Patriots are doing and reloading there, I think the Bills want to take a strategy probably of more like, hey, we want to be at the top of this division for a long time, very much like the New England Patriots have done. So I could see them maybe looking a little more towards the future and trying to retain a couple guys, sign them to a little longer deals. So I could see them going that avenue to kind of combat the big bad Belichick's of the
Let
world.
me ask you this: if you're the Bills, do you go with a move like? Do you call Atlanta or Philly, and do you go look straight up? If New England offers you guys something, we'll beat it.
Hmm.
Do you play that game if you're them where you go, look, I we can't afford to let this team in our division go get Julio Jones. That is worse for us than giving up too much for him ourselves.
Yeah. So I don't know what the parameters are around of doing something like that, of saying like, hey, if a team offers this, we'll offer more. Like I don't know, like if you can do that in the NFL landscape,
Uh,
but it seems like an innocent enough thing where if you can do that, like yeah, let's have that conversation. And also a thing that I probably think a lot of teams aren't reaching out and saying like, hey, if this team in our division reaches out to you, let us know. But also, you have to have a really good relationship with a lot of the GMs and teams around the league
yep,
to be able to even pull that off. Because if you come to me as a GM and you say, well, hey, if the Patriots offer you, let us know, we'll beat it. If the Patriots offer me and it's good, I'm taking it for my
right.
team. I'm not, I may not be giving another call because you never know what happens with the Patriots. They might pull that offer, go after someone else.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you think like, why wouldn't you at least make that phone call and have that conversation with someone in the front office?
Well, and here's the benefit, right? And the benefit that they have is this I've been thinking a little bit more about. Do the Patriots really want to, or the Falcons rather, really want to do a deal with the Patriots with their recent history? Just played them in the Super Bowl, right? 28-3, that whole scenario. Are the Falcons
Yeah,
and the Falcons front office, are they aware that maybe the fans wouldn't exactly be behind a deal to the Patriots? Does that help a team like the Bills in these negotiations be like, look, man, your fan base is going to crucify you guys if you trade Julio Jones to the Patriots with your recent history? Like, we're in that same division. We don't want to let that happen. We'll beat what they're offering you. I think the pitch from the Bills is pretty extraordinary for Julio Jones, in fairness. I absolutely do. But, this is probably what Bills fans want to hear. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that they'll be able to pull that off, but I do think that they have a hell of a pitch, especially, when you're seeing these reports that like some of these other AFC teams seem to be the ones making offers. Now's your chance to throw your hat in the ring, right?
yeah. And to your point, there with the Falcons fan base may be pissed off if they trade Julio to the Patriots. I guess the only thing that would help that situation if that trade happened is if they did get a lot of value in return that within this next year immediately made an impact that the Falcons fans could see. Because I know some Falcons fans and it's very much how we are handling the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah.
Um, but this is a little more real with Julio potentially leaving before the season. With the Rodgers situation, it's still a little up in the air. But yeah, Falcons fans, I hope the management, your front office there is really looking to get top value for Julio Jones and really doing their due diligence for your organization. Get some good value back. And I I'm not a huge fan of getting picks back. I mean, I know they help you in the future, and maybe that's what the Falcons are looking to do. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out between the Bills and the Patriots. If Julio goes there, who knows? He may not. But I do think if Buffalo Bills is looking for another threat to add to that wide receiving core, I do think Zach Ertz for them is probably a little more realistic of a guy to go out and get for him. But yeah, it would be menacing to see Julio and Stefon Diggs
No doubt.
On the same team. So it'll be interesting, but yeah, so it'll be interesting. But I will say this, Nick. I noticed the lights behind you. Is that like an olive maybe
It's
today, or are we still?
unfortunately still green there, Scott.
Oh, it's
For those of you
fake.
who haven't seen before, these lights will not change. I don't even like the green lights. I think the blue looks
No,
way
they do nothing for
I
his
think the
eyes,
blue
guys.
looks way better. I think the blue makes things pop a little more. We're trying to grow this channel. We want this thing to look good. I don't even think these green lights look good, but out of solidarity to all of my Packers fans out there, these lights will stay green until we have an answer on Aaron Rodgers. And I think what Scott's getting at here is we still don't have an answer on Aaron Rodgers,
We do
unfortunately.
not.
And you've got places like I believe one of the mainstream media outlets running stories about could things change with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers this week, which in my mind makes it feel like a slow news day, if I can be honest with you, because it's
Yeah,
like you could run that story any day of the week and all the time forever. Like if the story is, hey, things might change with Aaron Rodgers in the next few days, like you can run that any time. So it makes me think they're kind of grasping at straws a little bit at this point because there hasn't been much new news with the Rodgers situation, but I guess if I'm going to be kind to these fucking mainstream media outlets, yeah, maybe. I guess maybe we could find out something new this week. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
that's
well,
kind of obvious.
yeah. I mean, because we are getting to the date of mandatory training camp and stuff like that. So I mean, and even mandatory is such a subjective word.
Hmm.
What's mandatory to you is different than what's
If you're
mandatory
Aaron
to
Rodgers,
me.
right,
You know.
right.
So, but uh, but yeah. So we'll see this upcoming week. We'll have an answer whether he's there or not. But the thing, I don't see this story dying out even after Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay.
Yeah,
I just
I agree.
there's still going to be the hoopla around it of yeah, he's back, but is he happy? Blah blah blah. And if you're trying to get information about what's going on with the Aaron Rodgers situation, I really think there's only a few places you can go to get accurate information. You can go to Aaron Rodgers' Twitter page. I know that's a good source of information for things that have to do with Aaron Rodgers. You're
Yes.
not going to find much football stuff there, but you might find a few things here and there that you didn't know about. Two, the Pat McAfee show. I think he does it right when he has Aaron Rodgers on, ask him great questions, and it's not leading questions that the media try to do to get a quote. So I think they give a fair perspective on the Aaron Rodgers situation. And then also I think you got the guys over at Monday Evening Football. I think they give a fair,
Yes.
biased, perspective of the Aaron
Incredibly.
Rodgers and the Packers. Unapologetically Packers fans over there, but they cover the whole NFL. So feel free to you know, feel free to check those guys out. But they're giving real accurate analysis and having the conversations around this Aaron Rodgers things that I think are more productive than what the media is trying to put out there and portray. But I also understand why the media does it because there's 31 NFL teams out there that would all love to have Aaron Rodgers. So to float that news story out there, that's going to be good for ratings because that's what it's all about at the end of the day for these huge media companies. For us over here, it's just about views, not ratings. So big difference there. And
Do you ever think that
but
we'll look back and on the fact that when we launched Monday Evening Football at the beginning, when we're out in the future and we've got it established and it's a brand that people know and trust and love, right? Do you think we'll look back and we'll be like, man, it is kind of nuts that out of all of the news stories that could have happened in the first like year that we launched it, this Aaron Rodgers thing hit and just dominated the coverage for the first however many months, of this. I think it's fascinating that especially for us as Packers fans, like this is what we kind of came into this NFL media landscape covering. It's definitely going to be memorable, I think, like
for sure.
well into the future.
Yeah, it'll definitely be exciting to look back on. In I mean, it's a good and a bad thing because it lets people know we're Packers fans, so we get that off our chest right from the jump. So there's no like, oh well, like is he biased? Like when we're talking about the Packers, yeah, there's probably going to be a little bit of bias.
Yep,
Just so you know. It's just like when Fox News talks about something that a Republican does versus a Democrat. It's like
there's
there's
a
some bias
bias,
there.
right, right.
There's going to be bias anywhere. We're upfront about it. We'll let you know.
Hmm.
And we try to be unbiased about everything else in the NFL as much as we can. Now, there's a team called the Chicago Bears that we can't help having a little bias there, too. So there's two teams we have a little bias towards. But other than that, we're giving you a fresh, proper perspective. But yeah, I feel good that this Rodgers dynamic is happening because it's like we do get a chance to talk about Aaron Rodgers, like our favorite quarterback probably of all time,
Oh yeah,
the best quarterback of all
oh
time.
yeah.
And but at the flip side of that is like sometimes I feel like we talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers too much, but that's only because he's in the news every day and it's like the biggest story so far this summer. So it's like it's a double-edged sword, but like it is something we have to cover, and also we're more than happy to cover it. I mean, or we could be covering a guy like Tom Brady who appears to be raring to go after his knee surgery, and Bruce Arians is like, no, I might play it safe. Like, let's slow your roll. You got old knees, buddy.
It's
So you could be one of those guys. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I'm all for it. But I will say this, Nick. With our coverage of the Aaron Rodgers situation, I have seen some other news outlets covering the Aaron Rodgers situation, and there was a little how do I say this? A little drama
uh,
in the football media world
yes,
this past week. And if you didn't see it on Twitter, I'm here to tell you about it. But Pro Football Talk,
yep.
they picked up a story. It was from who?
Let me pull it up. Is it? Wait, is it Pro Football Talk or is it Pro Football Focus?
Football Talk. They
Pro
picked it up.
Football
They picked
Talk.
up
Gotcha.
Matt Schneidman in the Athletic, and
Uh huh.
Matt he's over there. He's reporting on the Packers and stuff like that. And they took one of his stories that you had to, it's on a subscription based platform with the Athletic, but they took one of his stories, Pro Football Talk did, read through it, analyzed it, and then they used it in some of their own reporting. And what had happened was they misinterpreted what he was actually saying. And so they took a narrative from what Matt was saying and they took it and ran a little different way with it. And to be honest, he wasn't very excited about that, which nor would I be if I'm trying to write great articles about the Packers and this, uh, you know, other media source is taking this information and misquoting it. And then the Pro Football Talk had the audacity to come out and say, well, you should be honored that our media company had picked up your story and ran with it. To
Insane.
which Matt said, I don't give a fuck that you picked my story up. If you're just going to spread lies about what my story said, he's like, that doesn't do nothing for me. So there's a little back and forth there. And I will say this, Nick. I hope us over on Monday Evening Football, we never get into a situation where we, get called out for maybe misinterpreting something, because that happens. The way I read an article and the way you read an article, we might come out with different viewpoints on it.
Definitely.
But then you have the author of that article come out to us and say, hey, no, that's not how I interpret it. I would hope that we would have the audacity to be like, hey, we apologize. We read that article a little differently than what it actually said. We apologize. Just make the proper adjustments. Like, hey, this is the article we read. We took it our own way. It's a little different. You can make those little edits in there, but it just seems like Pro Football Talk has dug their heels in and been like, well, we're bigger than you, so it doesn't matter. Which I don't know if I'm a fan of that, to be honest.
Yeah, me either. I think it comes off as entitled from them, and it comes off as, to me, like lazy journalism. Like, we're just a couple guys on YouTube, and we take the time to like put in the work and like actually try to present nuanced arguments, and unfortunately, if you're not going to take the time to, like he said, like read the article, like actually try to understand what I am conveying, then I don't know how you can be mad at him. You didn't take the time to like read the article. I mean, this happens all the time. We just ran a story the other day. We got called idiots because we ran a story that about Mac Jones having mixed reviews at OTAs, which is true. It is true. Like, there were mixed reviews. Now, most of the reviews on him at OTAs were positive, but they were mixed.
Yep.
And we pointed out that we thought it was silly that they were mixed reviews because the only issue was his size, and we thought that was stupid. But if you take the time to listen to what we said and actually understand where we were coming from, you wouldn't think that we're trashing Mac Jones at all. But in a
No.
lot of ways, I think that sometimes in this culture, it's kind of I guess people rush to try to figure out what's the headline, what's this story, what's it about, and a lot of misinterpretations happen. And then unfortunately, it almost seems like these guys at Pro Football Talk got caught in a situation like that, and they don't want to
Yep.
admit that they were wrong. They don't want to admit that maybe they didn't do their due diligence, and that's
Yep.
unfortunate because I think Matt's out here just trying to do good work, and I like it that he was like, "Fuck you guys!" Like, no, you guys screwed up. Like, I don't care that you're bigger. Like, what does that mean to me? I'm not like,
Yeah. It's like, it's one thing if you're reporting accurately on my story and I'm being ungrateful about it, but like, you're not even reporting accurately about the article that he written. Sorry. So,
yep,
I'm gonna be honest. We gotta be in Matt's corner on this one,
for sure.
and the Athletic. But I look at this for Pro Football Talk as an opportunity for them to, as a learning experience. You may not have handled this situation the best.
Hmm.
You may have handled it the way you thought it should be handled, and also handle it the way you want to handle it. But you will start to see some consequences if you are doing this to a lot of reporters. Because I was in the Twitter comments of that, and I saw a lot of Packers fans, standing up for Matt and saying like, yeah, but like you wrote about his article wrong, and you know what? And then from Pro Football Talk, this gets picked up by the Pat McAfee show, and now Pat McAfee is talking about it. And sure enough, you see Matt Schneidman, his name right at the bottom there, going off of this narrative that has been now misconstrued because it's getting murky and it's not really what he's saying. So it's like there is some effects here because he works with the Packers on a daily basis as being a reporter there.
Yep.
So for something to get all the way to the Pat McAfee show that he written, and from where he written it to where it's at the Pat McAfee show, is a completely different narrative. And if you're writing for the Packers and the narrative that's not right is getting back to the Packers because now it's blown up, like that could be detrimental to a guy's career. So to be able to just come out and say, hey, you know what? It looks like we did maybe interpret the article wrong. Like, there is no harm in saying that. And if you came out and you said that on your Twitter, be like, oh, we apologize. Like, you think the fan bases are going to be like, oh my God, I took this article and I took what was in here and like it was what it was. Like, you can have a mistake. Like, you can make a mistake. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Just got to right your wrongs.
But
At the end of the day, that's all it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
That's all it
just
is.
right your wrongs, own up, sip your medicine for the 30 seconds it is. But I will say this, like, you probably have a lot more people that aren't a fan of Pro Football Talk because they did take this stance of like, you should just be honored that our big publication picked up your story.
For sure.
Like, no,
It feels
no,
it feels somewhat out of touch in the current media landscape because, no longer do these larger media companies have as much leverage as they used to. And
yep,
so, in this day and age in 2021, for Pro Football Talk to display an attitude of we are so big, we do what we want, and you should just be grateful that we exist. In today's media landscape, it's not the stance that I think you want to take. It comes off as very, like, very entitled. And, at the end of the day, the next Pro Football Talk is out there, and, like, it exists, and it's trying to
it's
be
coming.
like it's one of these things where, I think the more genuine you can be, the less entitled you seem. People seem to gravitate towards that. And like you said, I think that in this particular case, I think they lost some fans. I think Matt gained some fans. And at the end of the day,
Yep.
like, that's what's going to happen. The free market of the internet will decide. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like, I think doing the right thing is always the right thing. So,
Yeah. And and not to be so down on Pro Football Talk because they do provide some good information and it's a good news outlet. Um, so don't want to take that away from them. But when you do make a mistake, just own it,
yep.
work through it, move past it. Is what we're saying over here. And you know what, we're taking this as a learning opportunity for us as well. So we, hopefully don't make that same mistake because that's not the brand that we want to put out. And I feel like most people don't want to put out that entitled we're bigger than you, better than you type of brand. But it unfortunately it does work for some people. So hey, a little bit of a sad note, but like yeah, the media scape is it's getting interesting for sure.
No doubt.
And hey, it is a little bit of a slow news week when we're picking up stories that's happening on Twitter with some drama with a couple reporters and reporting and stuff like that. But hey, I mean that is an aspect of the NFL, and it's one that's not covered from time to time. So we're happy to pick it up for you and just run with it. But guys, I need you to do one thing for me, Nick. I need you to do this for me too. Okay?
Okay.
Can you do this?
I can do it.
I mean, I don't know what it
I have
is,
a
so
feeling.
I'm asking for a little bit of faith
I have a feeling I can
here
do it.
before I ask the question. Okay, he feels like he can do it. Guys, I'm just gonna need you to go out and have the best Wednesday of the rest of your lives right today. Okay, go do something that makes you grow as a person. To go do something that scares you. Go and talk to that girl that you've been wanting to talk to. Go and talk to that boy that you've been wanting to talk to. Go ask for that promotion at work. Ask for that raise. Do something that scares you a little bit, but it'll push you out of your comfort zone. You'll be a better person for it. Or at the very least, just have a great day. Maybe it's going to be beautiful here in Illinois. Maybe, have a couple drinks outside, whatever you got to do to have a great day. Um, but I know I will be doing something like that. Got a pretty girl that I got my eye on that I'm going to go talk to.
Look at that. You love to see it. Guys, we'll see you on the other side of this beautiful Wednesday in the morning tomorrow. And until then, take care. And once again, if you are going to have a couple evening drinks with that lady of your choice, remember 81 Vino. That's the route
Ooh,
that's the route that we're all running. See, that's a little football pun there for you guys.
hey,
81 Vino. Support TO. We all love TO. Let's make it happen. Let's blow up 81 Vino. Come on. I'm excited to
yeah, why
try it.
not?
I'm excited to
Yeah,
try it. And
GameStop's going to the moon, AMC's going to the moon. Why not 81 Vino to the moon? That's what I say. Also, we're not financial advisors, so take that into a fact. So, guys, it's been a great episode today. Glad to have you here. We'll see you tomorrow, like Nick said. We'll see you later, you jabroni.